Hey Kyle, um, I guess you could say that Dennett and Dawkins, but let's stick to Dennett. He's not your classical, traditional materialist. Actually, I would say that what I've read of his approach to cognitive science is quite mystical. Actually, I mean, I do still think it's a form of Platonism. I mean, you were saying that the information is not disembodied or existing in some eternal realm, Platonic realm. But to say that you could theoretically um, survive the death of, I'm quoting from Dennett, survive the death of your body as intact as a program can survive the destruction of the computer on which it was created. Um, he's using the word information in the same way that we would use the word soul, and that your mind is information that can be realized on any medium, organic or not. Um, and see, the thing is that the computer metaphor, the information processing metaphor for the brain, at first it seems pretty good, but when you start to think about it, it's so misleading that it's I don't think it's worthwhile to use because the hardware software distinction. Let's apply that to the brain, which of course the brain doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a body. The body has a developmental history. It grows itself. Um, Computers don't grow themselves. They're built in a finished way that they don't ever change after that. At least the hardware portion. And the software can be reprogrammed, certainly. Um, but if we're going to use this metaphor, then in the human body, the hardware and the software are the same thing. It's not just that the software is the hardware. The hardware is also software. Or at least that would be my perspective. I actually got these quotes from Dennett and Dawkins from Evan Thompson's book Mind and Life, and his understanding of cognition is derived from his understanding of life, which is as an autopoetic system, a self-producing system, such that the activity of living is synonymous with the activity of cognition. The organism, by closing itself in a membrane, um, in a sense, at the same moment brings forth an environment of significance, um, and that significance is realized within it as information, you could say. But it's an information that can't leave that particular realization of an organized system. Um, it's an operationally closed system, whatever organism we're talking about, meaning it doesn't get and respond to inputs from the outside with outputs. It's not programmed in that way. It can be perturbed and then it responds, but it responds based on its own organization. And certainly all these autopoietic systems are open to their environments, to the physical world, so that energy and matter can pass in and out of them. But informationally, they're closed. Um, and I'm interested to hear about that blue brain IBM parallel computing system because I wonder if they've worked out the problem, which I've heard is pretty widespread in the neural network field, is that the researchers actually have to provide the weights for each node, and that the system can't really learn by itself like a human or any other animal with a nervous system could, because you have to give the computer um, a prescribed task, which is usually pretty narrowly defined, and you then have to weight each node such that it performs the task appropriately. Whereas a human um, can learn any number of tasks and programs themselves, weights their own nodes, and is entirely self-contained in that way. There's no need for an external intelligent agent to manipulate from the outside. Um, I don't know. Maybe IBM has found a way to get around that problem. I'm not sure. But I like Dennett more or I can relate to his position more than the Churchlands, say, or Crick and Cock. But I don't know. I mean, some have called Dennett an unwitting pan-experientialist because he sometimes talks himself into that position, but then other times will say, no, 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 no. It starts from blind matter and builds its way up. But when you talk about information in the way that he talks about it, you're definitely attributing to it some kind of strange mental power, some mental essence of some kind, which is why it is almost a kind of mystical materialism. And I've used Dennett in some of my papers, and I appreciate many of his ideas, but as an overall solution to many of the problems in cognitive science, I don't think Dennett's ideas work, for the reasons I've discussed. Not to say that, again, I don't find him very stimulating and worth reading. I mean, I love his books, but yeah, I mean, let me know what you think about my counter arguments, and also let me know a little bit more about IBM's Blue Brain, and if they've surmounted those problems I mentioned. So take it easy.